Hi everyone, so today I want to talk about the Bushtool knife from Habilis. I was actually sent this quite a while back now to test, and given that it's one of the first few pieces of kit that I was ever sent to test that I didn't pay for with my own money, I really wanted to do it justice. So I've had it with me for about 6 months now, maybe a little bit longer, and it's been out with me on countless trips, and I've put it to use on a multitude of different tasks. So here's what I think. And for the weigh-in, with the sheath, we're looking at 13.9 ounces. Comes in at 396 grams. Without the sheath, 8.7 ounces, which comes in at 248 grams. So, dimensions of the knife. Overall length is 10¼ inches, which is 26 centimeters. And blade length is 5½ inches, maybe 5¼ inches for the cutting area. Yeah, we'll call it 5¼ inches, which is 13 centimeters. Blade is 1/8 inch thick, which is 3 mm. I'll do the paper test to test the edge, and this is really just a test for myself to see what the edge retention is like, because I'm not the first person that's tested this knife. It's, as you can tell, the powder coating's starting to come away because it's seen some love from previous testers, so I'm not actually expecting the edge to be perfect, but let's see. It's actually not too bad. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that is sharper than some production knives I've bought out of the box, and this has seen a lot of abuse, certainly some love through batoning and acts of that nature from previous testers, and I certainly wouldn't have expected the edge to have held up this well. But no, that's absolutely fantastic, really. All things considered, that's a bloody sharp knife. And the edge retention is obviously fantastic. I don't think this has been touched up. I'm pretty sure previous testers haven't touched it up after they've played with it. I think it was sent to me as is, because you can see the blade hasn't really been cleaned up that much. So yeah, the edge retention on this, absolutely fantastic. Very good. Very impressed with that. Let's see how well it performs with the paracord tester for the push cut. Yeah, it did it. Took a bit of effort, but to be expected. Yeah. Very impressed with the edge retention on this. Very impressed. For the slicing, no problem at all. Fantastic. Let's see how well we get the feathering done with this. Yep, pretty good. It's got a nice wide cutting area, good nice wide cutting surface, which makes bearing down look pretty easy. I am starting to see a slight hot spot though on the edge of the handle here. I was just digging a little bit where I was bearing down with my finger here. because there's no real sort of choil. It's quite a sharp edge on the micarta there, and that was just to my grip really. It's just digging in there. I can see that's going to be a real potential hotspot. I would have to shift my grip down like that, which for me isn't as comfortable for carving. So something to be aware of anyway. I would probably, if this was my knife, I would think I would probably sand that down to make it more comfortable. Let's talk a little bit about the knife itself. It's made from 1095 steel. It's got a nice balance to it. The handle actually looks like it's made from micarta, but I think it's G10. We have a lanyard hole at the end, extended pommel, glass breaker, and we have 2 holes drilled in the handle for lashing points, I guess. Pretty interesting. Now the design of the blade itself is it's certainly not a shape I've ever seen before. It's almost like a fish head shape, but yeah, it's interesting. It's a big surface area. It'd be good. I can see where it would be good for chopping. They have a notch in the back of the blade here for engaging a fire steel, and then they have a divot cut out here, which works in conjunction with this sunken part here for use as a bow drill. And the idea being that you would push your shin up against this divot part here, and then use this as a bearing block for your bow drill. It's an interesting idea, and certainly something I'm eager to try. The edge of the blade, I think it's a saber grind, but I was really impressed with the edge retention on this. It's fantastic. I haven't touched it up at all, and like I said, it's been tested previously before I got my hands on it, and so I expected it to be quite dull given the kind of testing that it's gone through already. But no, it was very sharp, so very impressed with that. Nice sharp tip. And yeah, I mean, the shape of the blade initially when I first looked at it, it wasn't really to my taste. It struck me as a strange design, but it certainly seems to have a practical use, and for a bushcraft or survival type knife, that's what it's all about. Is how practical is it? We have the Habilis logo embossed on the handle here, embossed on the blade here, and it's coated in the black powder. I think it's marine grade powder coating on this and all of the other Bushtools, which I guess means that it's going to be incredibly corrosion resistant, not just sort of standard corrosion resistance from typical powder coating, but really gone the extra yard to make sure that you're not going to have any corrosion problems with this at all. Nice attention to detail there, I like that. Yeah. For me, the handle is very comfortable. It seems to be designed for somebody with a similar sized hand to mine, which is actually quite small. You know, if you're one of these sort of bigger guys with the chunkier hands or chunkier fingers, you might not find it as comfortable to hold. But if you're a smaller build guy like me, you're going to find it very comfortable. I can see there going to be maybe a few hotspot issues with the back of the pommel here, digging into the palm of your hand, and the edges on the G10 or micarta or whatever it is are very sharp. So I can see those potentially being hot spots when you're doing carving work. Yeah, so like I said, if this was my knife, I'd probably sand down those edges, but since it's not mine, I'm not going to touch it. So let's talk about the sheath a little bit. Now I have to admit I really like this. It's very well made. It's handmade, you can tell from the tooling on it, but it's very well made, and it's an incredibly versatile design. Very well thought out. I like it a lot. Any way you can think of carrying your knife using this sheath, they've pretty much taken care of. We have the fire steel loop eyelets here. If you like the dangler method of carrying your knives, that's taken care of. Personally, I don't care for it, but if you're like me and you don't really like it, you can just unscrew the dangler loop. We have this very versatile belt loop. You can carry it traditionally across your belt, or you can thread your belt through here and have the cross draw system. So pretty much any way you think of carrying your knife, they've thought out. The retention with the loop at the top is very good. You know, it's a little bit loose when you pull it, but it's not going anywhere. You know, it's not going to fall out of your belt. I don't know if it's because this sheath is a generic sheath that they bought, or whether it has actually been designed to work with this knife. But it fits, you know, it does a job. I really like it. It's certainly the best quality sheath I've seen with a knife of this type, you know, a semi-custom production knife. It's a lot better than the one that you get with the Bark River Bravo 1, that's for sure. You know, I really like it. Very nice sheath indeed. You know, they could have cut some corners and gone with a Kydex sheath, but no, they went with a good quality, well thought out, well designed leather sheath, and I think personally, for me anyway, because I have a bit of a bias towards leather sheaths, but I think that's a big plus in their favour. Okay, so I've been on the trail for, let me see, 8.3 kilometers. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I'm wearing the Bushtool in my favourite position, which is for horizontal carry. And to be honest, I've hardly noticed it's there. Really comfortable. I'm really impressed with this sheath. You know, the knife has been performing very well, but they've made some great design choices with the sheath. It's very comfortable. I hardly know it's there. Very impressed with that particular piece of equipment. Okay, moving on. seasoned wood, and as you can see there's no rolling or nicks. Good stuff. I don't know how well you can see that, but it still carves very, very easily. Edge retention on this thing is absolutely fantastic. My original plan for today was to get out there and test the bow drill functionality of the Habilis Bushtool. As you can see, we're having a bit of a snowstorm. Unfortunately, my bow drill skill isn't quite good enough to work in these kind of conditions, so I think it's going to be on to plan B. So as you can see, the shape of the knife is actually pretty difficult, pretty unwieldy to use as a bow drill bearing block if you've got a long spindle, which is, you know, I tend to prefer one about 8 or 9 inches long, but due to the shape and trying to hold the handle of the knife in such a way that you can use it as an effective bearing block, it's really difficult to keep the spindle stable. So I would say an optimal length for the spindle when you're using a bow drill and using the Habilis Bushtool as your bearing block is about 4 inches. That seemed to work pretty well for me. Once I got it down to about 4 inches, I had no problem bearing down on the spindle, and the friction there was hardly any friction at all from that G10 bow drill socket. You know, the synthetic sockets are absolutely fantastic. I was really impressed with it. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of issues with the fact that you've got sharp edges attached to your bearing block. You know, I nicked myself a couple of times. And if you're a left-hander and you like to saw with your right hand, if you're a left-hander and you like to saw with your left hand, then you're going to have a problem, because the bow drill divot is only on one half of the handle, and if you actually flip it over to the other side to use as a left-hander, then you're going to have the sharp edge of the blade digging into your shin. So you're not going to be able to use it as a left-hander, unfortunately. And they can solve that problem easily just by putting a second divot on the other side of the handle. I don't know if the demand's there or not, you know, not being left-handed. I know most people are right-handed, and a lot of left-handers do adapt to using bushcrafting tasks right-handed because of things like that. But you know, it'd be a nice thing for them to offer, and I don't think it affects the structural integrity of the handle at all, because otherwise if it did, they wouldn't have it on one half of it either. So yeah, something to think about anyway. So is it good value for money? Well, it retails for $199, and given as you can only buy it from them, you can't get it from a reseller or anything else, you're not going to be able to take advantage of cut prices on somewhere like Amazon, so you will end up paying $199 plus taxes and shipping and things like that. So it's kind of expensive. You know, compared to a bigger production company, then it's a little bit pricey. But then you compare it to somewhere like Bart River, and the quality is certainly comparable to Bart River. So, and their prices are about the same. So yeah. Plus, don't forget as well that the sheath that comes with it is absolutely excellent. I'm really impressed with the sheath. I can't say enough good things about it. And if you were going to buy an equivalent sheath from JRE for something like that, you're probably talking about $70. So what you're really saying is you're paying $70 for a sheath and $130 for a knife. And $130 is a steal for this. It really is definitely worth it. So is it for me? Is it my favourite knife? Well, I have to be honest and say no, it isn't. And that's really just down to the size of the blade. I find it's just too wide for my taste. I found it a little bit difficult to carve with. It's a really innovative design. You know, you can tell that it's actually been somebody sat down and really thought about it in terms of bushcraft uses. You know, somebody who really enjoys bushcraft has sat down and designed this blade, just looking at all the different features and things you can do with it. It's definitely a bushcrafting knife versus, you know, a typical survival knife. But in terms of my tastes, I found the side of the blade is just a little bit too big for me. You know, I've got fairly small hands as well, so that doesn't really help. What I will say is though that they've just brought out a new one called the Trapper, and that's a lot more to my taste. It's a similar length and similar size handle, but the blade is a lot thinner. And I think that one's going to be a lot more to my taste, so I might try and get hold of one of those and give that one a try, because it has a lot of the similar features. It has the bow drill divot and things like that. Now, speaking of the bow drill, I don't know if you can tell, but now both Adam and I have run this through the mill in terms of bow drill, and you see there's a little bit of wear on the G10 there, but it's still holding strong. So I think, you know, realistically you're going to get a couple of years of constant use out of it before you need to replace the scales. So it works pretty well. I hope you found this useful, enjoyed watching the video. I had a lot of fun making it. It was tons of fun testing this piece of kit. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to thank Adam and the guys from Habilis for giving me the opportunity to test it. And as always, any questions, queries or problems, feel free to drop me a line. Cheers.